People, hello, hello, hello. How are you this evening? Let me get y'all some gloss going on. I'm Chisa Pennix-Brown, and tonight we are back with another episode of Give It to the People Live. Now, this is a weekly event that we do, and we give it to the people every Wednesday. See, my guest is here. She's not playing games. And what we do is we showcase businesses, Black businesses, brown businesses, BIPOC businesses, small businesses, nonprofits, people that are doing great things in the community, because that's what we're trying to do, is build a community. So these people could be anywhere, but they're here with us on Give It to the People, where we get to talk about their businesses and let people know about what they're doing, and then of course how you can support. Now with this, we also have our friend. Her name is Tambourine Brown, Tammy Faye. And when people say something good, Tammy Faye just has to shake it for the people. She just has to let you know, because sometimes you miss some of the good things that people say, and we need to reiterate it and run that back for the people in the back. So tonight I have a wonderful guest who is Tiffany, and I'm excited to listen to the podcast, but this will be our first time in the year of 2021 being able to interview her and seeing her in real life, even though, I know it's online, but being able to see her for the first time in 2021 and just find out what's new with her business. So Tiffany, hey girl.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I am wonderful. It's so good to see you. You look all nice and chocolatey and everything.
I was like, if I'm going to give it to the people, I got to give it to the people.
Come on, right? You need all the chocolateness out here tonight. So I am excited tonight because y'all don't know, Tiffany is super silly, okay? So we have a good time. We always are laughing about something, and it's a good thing because we're talking about money, business, family. All of those things tonight to just really kind of get you in. And so I want to start from a place that she might not think I want to start at. But since I saw you the last time, you got married.
I did.
There you go. So I want to just start out. I'm going to let you tell people about yourself, but I want to start that way and just ask, just tell us what has been different since you got married, and then we'll go into the background of how you started, all this stuff. But what's been different business-wise, personal-wise, since you've gotten married?
Oh my gosh. Life has changed tremendously. Being that my main business is financial education, right? Mm-hmm. So coming from that background, I'm like, okay, we have to have joint finances. We have to, hit the ground running, all this stuff. And it has been a struggle, but it's been a learning opportunity. And so going through this process of being married, having joint finances and all that good stuff, it has made us closer in a way, I feel like, only because it's we have to share about everything. We just had a money conversation before I came in. So, stuff like that has been interesting. And then also we started a business together, which has been taken off. And it's refreshing having someone that matches your hustle. And everything that you, right, and everything that you struggle with, they're excellent in, and vice versa. And so we do a lot of tag teaming on a lot of different things. And we have really, we were just talking about it the other day, really upgraded each other's lives.
Come on.
Right. So, come on, Tammy.
Upgrade. Yes, there you go. Okay.
But that's pretty much the year in a nutshell. We've been just going at it, going hard, and it's really been showing itself. So,
and this is the thing, everybody, if you're just watching, you're just tuning in, they got married in a pandemic. Okay. And what was that like? Because I could just imagine, I'm sure it saved some money with Money Talk with Tiff, right? Because you didn't have a million people. But what was it like to say, you know what? Because, some people would have been like, I'm just going to wait, right? Other people would have been like, no, we're just in love. We're just going to do it. We're going to do whatever. But, what made you say, look, let's go ahead and just knock this out right now?
Well, so we have an interesting love story just in general, because we just met each other December 2019. Via Facebook dating, right? And
what?
So, yes.
I did not know that.
Yes. And so, we got married May 20th of 2020. And so that was like, what, 5 months or so? But it's crazy because I never felt, and him the same, right? We never felt like we wanted to marry the people that we were with before. And so just the way it all came together. But our wedding, it's funny because my ideal wedding was just going to the Justice of the Peace, but the Justice of the Peace was closed because it was COVID.
Yeah.
And so we ended up having a Zoom wedding, which ended up being, he went to school for video production. So like, if I show you how he has everything set up with the lighting, like, and all of this stuff going on right now, that's how our wedding was. So we had a green screen, and our theme was going back to Africa, right? Because I love Afrocentric. I have that vibe. And so we did a whole back to Africa thing. And so in the background on the Zoom call, it had the African safari. And then when
he wasn't playing.
Right. And then when I was, we had the lights set up and everything. But when I was coming down the hallway, which was my aisle, I had on my African dress. I was barefoot. Like, it was just very relaxed. And we only had, his mom, my mom, his sister. It was like a handful of people that was here with us. And then we had 40 people from, I would say, 6 different states join us, which was great because when you think about it, if we would have had a real wedding, that wouldn't have been possible. Like, my grandma that lives in Florida was there, and she's not doing too well. So it's like, I was like, is this the future of weddings where everybody can come? You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoyed it.
No, ma'am, back that up. That's the only thing I don't agree with. Even if it's virtual, honey, everybody still can't come to my stuff.
Okay. No,
girl. Because look, they'll be online typing. No. We don't have time for that. Good vibes only, right?
And I have a story behind that too. You can't stop all the drama, even if it's virtual. So, but other than, a little hiccups here and there, it was a good experience. And I did get slightly upset because, me, I'm very, very cheap. I like to save money. And so I was like, people need to eat before they come. Well, my husband, he was like, well, let's just go ahead and get something. So we did get something. So we did spend more than I thought we would, which was only like $200. But still, I was like,
Tiffany, get it together. She said, listen, but you know what? The thing is, you did what you wanted to do, right? And I mean, I'm sure that everybody was happy with it. So that's the important thing. But the thing that you mentioned was putting the finances together. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to do that, but because it's not for everybody, you know what I mean? And I've seen some people do everything and it works out well. I've seen people do separate things. I mean, it just works however it works. But based on that, and now that I know, which I didn't know, there was such a short time from meeting till we're married, what made you feel confident enough to be able to be like, not only is this my husband, but we can start a business together? Like, that's what I want to know.
That is a really great question. And
that's real, girl.
Yeah, I'm over here like, Tiffany, what were you thinking? And I think I was just letting it play out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could have went a completely different way, and I just put myself out there. He put himself out there, you know what I'm saying? But I think what made it work was that we have the same thought process. We have the same mindset. And so we are both, and he was a business owner before we got married. I was a business owner before we got married. And so you have 2 business owners with multiple different businesses apiece. And so now we're like, oh, how can we make money together? And so it was kind of like a natural progression from that. And not to make it sound all like gumdrops and lollipops, because it wasn't. We eased into it. We got our first van. We started running that. Got the second van, started running that, and we made sure that we paced ourselves. Now, we were just talking the other day, like, we went from not only being new boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, to starting a business to combining finances to all of these different things while we were still trying to learn each other. So yeah, so it was a very interesting journey. And don't get me wrong, we're still on the journey together, but we have learned so much about each other and ourselves by having those complications, you know, like business is a complication. You know?
I'm sitting here, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm saying it in my mind. You know, when I think about stuff, I look off to the side. I'm thinking and while I'm listening to you. I cannot imagine that everybody could do that. Like that to me, I don't know what kind of magic, wonderful voodoo skill set, you know, from the motherland you have, because I'm saying like, okay, let's get together. Let's see if we like each other, you know, and then, you know, you have to add in, you got 2 boys, you know, so now you got to get in and understand what's going on with the boys. So it's different relationship dynamics. And then, and I mean, I'm not trying to demean family at all, but business is such a big part of who I am that to me it's like its own baby outside of kids and anything else, that there is a level of trust that has to happen for you to come into my life. I like you, the kids like you, and hey, why don't we start a business, right? Like that is amazing that you were able to even do that and start it. But you said some things that I know, but I want you to tell people the business that you started. Tell them about that so that this way they can kind of get an understanding of where, you know, where that went and what made you choose that business in the first place.
Okay, so the business that we started together is called Catman Express, and it's a logistics company. So we do expedited freight, pretty much what 18-wheelers do, just on a smaller scale with Sprinter vans and box trucks. So we currently have 6 vehicles on our fleet now. And
stop.
Yes.
Don't stop on me like that now. Okay, hold up. When did y'all start this?
So we started it. So our LLC became official July of 2020.
So now it's 1 year and a little bit of time because now it's August. 1 year.
And really, we didn't really start July. So we really started in like November. So it's been like really quick. And that's why I'm saying,
you bad, like, girl. You bad. That's a bad chick right there. I'm telling you.
But this is what I tell people, right? So you know how you were saying, like, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of, you know, gusto to do stuff like this. But I have this philosophy that everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear, right? So this is what I tell myself all the time. And so for me, I'm a Pisces too, so I'm a feeler. And so
yes, I did know because you and my husband are Pisces. I knew that. I was about to say, here goes another fish. Yes, I know how the fish are.
So yeah, I'm like, you know, with Pisces, we just go with the flow. We flow with it. And so, you know, having somebody that, because he's a Taurus, right? So Tauruses are more grounded, you know, down there. So there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh babe, let's do that. And he's like, and vice versa. And we kind of bounce off of each other like that. Anytime we talk, we're bouncing ideas. We're bouncing ideas constantly. So it's like that helps having someone, like I tell people all the time, who you're with has a tremendous effect on you reaching your full capacity in life.
Hold on, pause. Okay. What you just said was Little John and the East Side Boys. Who you with, get crunk. Who you with, get crunk. Who you with, get crunk. Who you with. So who you with has a tremendous impact and helps your life get crunk. That's what I heard. That was my interpretation of it. Come on, girl. I'm
you know, however you want to interpret it.
That's how I interpret it.
Right. If you want to put Little John in the mix, then go ahead. But, you know, it's so true. Like, you know, if you think back to like your worst relationship, where were you in that situation? You know what I'm saying?
I don't have
like,
to think back that far.
Right. But it's like where were you in that situation? Where were you mentally? What were you doing in business and career? You know, all that stuff. You will be surprised how much the person that you choose to be with plays a role, even if you don't think they play a role, this is the person that you spend the majority of your time together, right? And so if that person's not on the same wavelength as you, then, you know, exactly, it's just not going to work. So luckily, we have been on the same wavelength business-wise, you know, what we wanted. Because, you know, it took a lot for him as a man, you know how men are, to be like, oh, I think I'm going to wife her up. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. And so we had faith in each other, and we saw the potential in each other. And now what we're doing is bringing that potential out of each other. So
I love it. I mean, the levels of, because it's different for anybody that's looking from the outside looking in. Like, I've been able to see you beforehand, and then, oh shoot, she's getting married. Then the next thing, I saw the article, you know, that was talking about, okay, they're making XYZ amount a month and all of that. And then I was just like, that's such a short amount of time. And I did not know. And it's, to me, is, that lets you know that this was supposed to happen that way. You know what I mean? Because that's such a short amount of time to have so much success in all of these different areas, right? And like I said, you're not discounting anything that didn't go exactly like you wanted, but to still have business and personal, you know, be successful simultaneously with a new marriage, amazing. Like, I'm just totally amazed with it. So, and then did y'all hear what she said? 6 trucks in a year. And it's not even been a year, because technically you really didn't start getting into it till November. It's August, honey. It's August. Oh, hold up. So we have a comment that says, please drop the Facebook dating group name.
Oh,
They trying to get into that.
Right. It was actually just Facebook dating. So if you go on your Facebook app, they have a dating part in there. And we just went on there, you know, separately. We both had just got out of relationships maybe a couple of months prior to meeting each other.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm just like, and I wasn't even in a place where I was like honestly, at that time, I was just like, I'm going to get me some free meals. I'm going to just go on a couple days.
I'm done with you. You better get a meal, girl.
I was so serious. Like, that was my thought process. I was like, okay, I'm going to go out on a few dates. I'm not really taking anybody serious because I'm not really looking. I just want to go out, eat, have fun, you know, whatever. And lo and behold, I got a whole husband.
First of all, get a whole husband. She was looking for a little something, and then she got a whole husband, right? You came back with a value meal. But let me tell you what's so crazy about that. So when me and Mr. Brown met, I had broke up with my ex in September. We met in October. In 2 weeks when we met, so we met October 14th. Then by Halloween, we was boyfriend, girlfriend. And then he was down here and he moved down here in January. That was it. Like, it was that. So, and this is why I'm kind of astonished. I'm not astonished at you meeting and getting together and everything and being married for a certain time. I just know what it was like to get along, make just your relationship part do what it needs to do, let alone then start a business together. Because to me, that's a big choice for somebody to make, that yes, we're going to do this together. And I mean, I think it's an important thing, and I love the fast track with it, but it's something that you were both ready for, which made a huge difference. Because if you weren't ready for it, then it would not have worked out the way that it did. If somebody wasn't as mature, if somebody wasn't, you know, trying to do things the correct way and look out for each other and themselves independently, it would not have worked out that way. So you just come on with the love, with the black love today. Give it to me.
See, that's the important part too.
Yes.
Like, everything, like, let's say for instance, before we met, there was things that I was lacking in Money Talk with Tiff, where and you know, video production, like pictures, all that stuff, I was like, still kind of am, because we haven't been really focused on it. But it's like tonight, for instance, I was like, hey babe, you know, I got to go on live. Can you get me set up? And if I did a pan around like my area right now, you would be like, well, dang, you
set up.
Right? But it's, you know, we kind of filled each other's gaps, you know? And so when it happened, and this is another crazy part of the story that nobody really knows either.
Oh,
We
you're giving me
met,
groundbreaking news.
right.
Girl,
This is
I
breaking
love
news.
groundbreaking. Now let me get up close. What's next? What?
Where's the teacup? No.
I got a regular cup.
No, but the crazy part is like we met on December 20th. So right before Christmas, and Christmas weekend, we went on a family trip with me and my kids. You know what I'm saying? And we went up to the mountains and we had a ball. But usually I don't introduce people to my kids that early, especially that early, you know, at least a few months or something. But I feel like that part kind of cemented the whole deal. Like he felt a part of something. And then not only that, the kids loved him. Like the whole trip, they just wanted to be around him and all this stuff. And then he treated me like a queen the whole time. And so it kind of, we went from meeting to spending like every minute with each other. And it was a real eye-opening experience. And that's why I tell people, you know me, I'm not fearful really at all. Like my resume is relentless, but because I have no problem with, you know, doing the next thing, doing the next thing. And so my thing is I go through life with, I don't want to have any regrets. If I did do something and I learned a hard lesson, I want that lesson to be learned. You know what I mean? I don't want to go through life saying, well, what if I would have did this? And what if I would have did that? And if something feels right to me, because I'm a big feeler, if something feels right, I'm going to go for it. I'm gonna make up a plan and I'm gonna go for it. And so that's kind of what happened with this as well. You know, I didn't really have a plan to have a husband, but it was just like everything lined up perfectly. And it was because I stepped outside of fear and took those few first steps, and then it cemented the whole game plan. So
I just need you to know, I just really love it. And I think that people are getting some lessons that they might learn the hard way. But if they just listen to what you're saying, you can be a balance for the other person. And I love the part where you're talking about the fill in the gaps, which we had a comment on there as well, because I think that's what a real good relationship, and specifically when we talk about business, should be like. If I'm not good at something, and I tell people all the time, either I'm going to learn it or I'm going to hire somebody to do it. And when you can technically hire your spouse, like that's even better. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't even have to pay them full price. Just get them a meal, you know what I'm saying, or some stuff on the side. Give them some stuff on the side.
Some dessert. No.
Be like, that was your payment. So, when you really get down to it, that's what we should be looking at. And, you know, one of the things that I look at is how can I not necessarily be more like the other person, but the parts that I'm missing, it's like, I really appreciate that you're like that because I'm not, you know, and I appreciate that you look at things from a different angle because maybe I wasn't seeing it that way. And so whether you have a life partner or a business partner or a significant other, you know, partner, that's how things should be. They should be looking out for you and making sure that the totality of what you're doing is solid because they are paying attention to what you're not paying attention to. So when you have people that are, you know, and I think that works really well for introverts and extroverts specifically, which works well for me, of course, because everybody knows I'm a super extrovert, but it's things that I don't pay attention to. And he does, you know, and it's not in a bad way. It's just, you're looking at it from a totally different type of lens, not even because, you know, like even with my ex, we were both extroverts. That a horrible combination. Now, I'm not saying that can't work for other people, but I think that as you get older and more mature, because you don't have to be older to be mature, but you learn when to, and this is my personal opinion, when to shut up. Like, you might be right, but it might be time for you to just not say anything. And that to me has been one of the biggest lessons that I would say that I've learned. And that's probably what messes up relationships as well. So this is what I want to know. Tell the people how you even got started with Money Talk with Tiff. Well, Tiff, but T. Tell them how you got started with that in the first place.
Yeah, so I just love money. I mean, and not in the way, not in the way of like, I'm like a gold digger or, you know, I just love to spend money. I just love to learn how to maximize money. Like that is my thing. Like if I could just live life and save as much money as possible, like I would be happy. Like if bills.
But would you spend anything though, Tiff? Because I mean, you know, like you're talking about just saving. Sometimes the people that just say stuff like that, they're not fun because they don't want to spend their money. Like,
you know, I have been told that before. No, I'm just kidding.
You just want to be like Scrooge McDuck and swim through gold coins, and you're happy.
But you know what? Everybody has their vice. Everybody has what they like to spend money on. And what I like to spend money on, it's not clothes, it's not shoes, it's not.
What is it?
It's technology. I love technology. So I will spend a lot of money on technology. That's just what I like to spend money on. And that's why I tell people, when you are trying to get your finances in order and stuff like that, and you working on your budget, you don't have to deprive yourself. Think of a budget as a way to give yourself permission, right? So you're giving yourself permission to spend on the things that you want to spend on. And so my thing is, I don't really have a clothing budget because I don't really care about clothing like that. You know, I might have $50 in there for the month. What I care about is my technology. So the stuff I used to run my business, the new things, the new and greatest. I told my husband the other day, I said, because we kind of need a new car. You know, the air condition wasn't working for a little bit. We just got that fixed. There's a big crack in the windshield. You know, it's all two-toned and stuff because I had an accident. So, you know, all of that stuff doesn't really matter to me. But I told my husband, if I was to get a new car, I want a Tesla. Why? Because it's so technology heavy. Like that is the drawing point for me. And so I was like, I will ride around in this two-tone, no air condition, windshield cracked, making that sacrifice. So my next move could be my best move, and it'll be the move that I have always wanted to make. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's what I tell people, like, don't think that, you know, everybody wants to spend on something. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to make sure that it aligns with what your goals are. So if you love being a fashionista, spend money on clothes. If you love technology, spend money on technology, you know, but you just have to make sure that everything is aligning, you know. Oh, Kanji, she was saying, you're going to get a Tesla. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I am. So
there you go.
I mean, that's what I tell people. So when I started Money Talk with Tiff, it was just years. So I was the one 16 years old when I first got my first job. I had a car payment because my mom gave me that hard lesson up front. My car payment was like $365 a month, and I was only making $7.25. So as you can imagine,
took all your money.
Right. As you can imagine, I had to learn how to make my money stretch. And so what did I start doing at 16? Couponing. Because I learned that, look, I can use these little pieces of paper, and this is like money. And so I can take this shopping cart full of stuff. Like I would go into the store, get a shopping cart full, and only pay like $20 at 16. And people were looking like the cashier, the cashiers and stuff. They were like, "How are you doing this? Like, what? Can you do lessons? You know, what's going on?" And it was because I had to. Like, I had to figure out a way to make my money stretch and still buy the things that I wanted to buy. Because, you know, prior to getting your first job, you use your parents' money, you know.
Of course.
So I always had, like, I was always fresh in middle school, high school, you know, fresh clothes, everything. But then it became different when it became my money. And so I'm like, okay, what coupons can I use to get this outfit, you know, and all this stuff. So then it was just a natural progression from there. And I've always been an entrepreneur. Like I've always wanted to make money, you know. And so from there, then at 19, I started investing. And then, you know, it just kind of took off from there. And I would just read Money Magazine, Kipler's Your Personal Finance, blogs, listen to podcasts. Dave Ramsey, I used to listen to every single day. Susie Orman, I used to watch her show every week. Oh,
I used to live for some Susie Orman. I used to be like, you can't afford that.
Right. Are you?
When she was there, you could afford it, girl. You can't afford that. But Susie, no, you can't afford that. Yes. But you know, the thing about that is And I want to ask this question. Was that instilled in you starting at 16, or was that I just know what I want, so I'm going to do what it takes to get what I want? Because did you have a financial upbringing, and did your parents kind of give you that entrepreneurial spirit? No?
Okay. So that's okay. I was shaking my head no to the first part. The second part, yes. So my mom has always been a business owner too. So back when, not everybody had computers and stuff, she had a business doing desktop publishing. And so she would create people's flyers, things like that, PowerPoints, whatever they needed. So she had always had that business. So there's actually pictures of me like making copies and things like that when I was little. Now, as far as like the good financial role model, absolutely not. Nobody in my family, nobody. But see, what I feel is that when you are met with adversity, right? So in my case, adversity was everybody in my immediate family, they filed for bankruptcy at one point or another, sometimes twice. And then, we've gone through foreclosures and all that stuff. Now, all of that adversity, you either follow the same footsteps or you take the complete opposite approach because now you're terrified. And so I was on that end of the spectrum. I was terrified. Good. I was terrified of credit. I remember being younger and my mom had a stack of credit cards like this much. Like we would go to the store, department stores, they always ask me to check out, oh, would you like to save 20% today? If you sign a credit card, blah, blah, blah. And she would whisper over to me, I know I'm not going to get it. And then she'll be like, yeah, sure. And then they'd be like, approved. And she's like, oh, let me go add some more stuff. That type of thing. And
it's a trap. Yeah, but it's a trap how they try to get you. They be like, and I'd be like, no. And my first thing to them, and I just say it real nasty too. I don't know why. But I'd be like, no. If I don't have the money to pay for it, I don't need it, honey. And then some people seem like they get offended, but I'm just like, no. And then other people are like, that's really a smart way to think about it. But they're thinking about, if I get one more person to get a card, I get a bonus, or I get some money from it. And I'm just like, it won't be the kid, not me today.
Exactly. And see, that was the thing. My mom said yes every single time. Like, I don't remember a time where she said no. And see, that made me realize, I'm terrified of credit. I did not want a credit card. And I didn't get my first credit card until I was like 23, 24, something like that. And the only reason I got it is because you have to have credit to get credit and vice versa. So it's like, oh my gosh, like I have to go through this process if I want anything at this point. And so I reluctantly got my first card, and all I did was swipe, pay it off, like almost immediately, because I was so terrified. Like, I mean, it would only last like a day or two. And that's why I tell people, you don't have to carry a balance. That's a myth. That's a myth made up by the credit card companies because they want to get your money. I just swiped, paid it off in like a couple of days, and that's how I built my credit. Because like I said, I was terrified of carrying a balance. I didn't want to. Yeah. And so, just learning about these little intricacies. A lot of stuff I learned by not only reading, but just going through, I feel like experience is the best teacher. And so there have been times like before I was able to get my financial life in order, I was working 2 jobs in school. I was using my tax refund and my student loan refunds to keep a roof over me and my son's heads. You know what I'm saying? And
but you were doing what you had to do, though.
Exactly. And see, that's the thing too. It would have been easy for me. The easy way would have been to be like, oh, I got a refund. Let me go ball out real quick. No. I said, oh, I got a refund. Let me pay up my rent for like 3 to 6 months because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen next, but it also takes discipline. And that's what I tell people too. Discipline when it comes to your finances will take you a very, very, very long way. But
what you just said is such a simple thing to do. And you have all of these people that are probably getting ready to be kicked out on the street. They got all of the money, and I'm talking about right now, all of the money, the extra paychecks, the extra whatever, all of the little drop, 1,200s, thousands, and they did not pay up their rent. They did not do what they needed to do. And this is something that you can do on a regular basis. And one thing I really, truly love about this, because, and I think I've told you this before, my goal with my business and just life in general was to be able to not have to worry about paying rent. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying just go buy something that you don't. I'm just saying, yes, you have to pay rent to somebody, rent or mortgage. It's the same thing. Either way, you got to pay it so you can live somewhere. But to always be able to have like 3 months taken care of at a minimum, because that frees you up. And since I do everything in my mind on a quarterly basis, 90-day focus, get it on Amazon. To me, that makes sense to be able to do that, to set yourself up, because if something bad happens, you know you got a place to live. And that's what you did. Now, how many people took those tax refunds? And I'm gonna be honest, I did that back in the day, honey. When I used to get those student, when they would drop that money in that account. And I think of now, how much money did I waste? Like, I had a good time, you did good things, but could you have done some other stuff? And, you know, at the time, you weren't thinking about that. So do you think, though, that having the kids is what forced you to be in that situation? Because, you know, if you didn't have any kids, you just had you to just kind of play around with the money. So I think that's what a lot of people probably did.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination. So everything that we do in life is because of experiences, right? So whether it's experiences from when we're a child or something that we just went through, every decision that we make on a daily basis is because of an experience. And so I had my first son. So I was pregnant in high school. I had my first son when I was 18. So I had just graduated and I had just had him, right? And so from that moment on, I had this mindset like, I have a little person that's going to depend on me from now on. And so it's going to be my responsibility. And also, here's another part of my story, right? I didn't grow up with my mom. I grew up with my grandparents. And so another thought that I had was, I want to be there for my child. Like, I want to be a mom because I want to break this generational thing that we got going on in this family. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, I don't care how hard it gets. I'm still going to keep my child, you know, I'm still going to take care of my child. And so that extra, like push, like, I feel like, and I say this all the time, like, my son saved my life, you know, I feel like it gave me so, like, when I had him, it gave me so much purpose, because I have a long history, and I talk about this all the time, of anxiety and depression. Like, I've been diagnosed with severe long-term depression. I've tried to kill myself multiple times. And the first time was like when I was like 5 or 6 years old, right? And so I'm like, this little person has given me something to live for. And not only that, this is my push. Like, I have to make sure I make it because I have to make sure that he can eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I feel like that, in combination of you know, how I grew up with the horrible financial role models and just all of my life lessons, kind of got me to where I am today. And with the mindset that I have, you know, because I'm like, I don't care if, well, at the time we was getting food stamps, so I wasn't really worried about food, but I was like, we need a place to lay our head. Like, that's my priority number one. And I don't care what I have to sacrifice to make sure that we have a roof over our head, because that's important, you know? And so were my friends like, oh, girl, let's go on a trip. Oh, girl, let's go out. Oh, let's do this. Da, 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 da. I did go out sometimes, but after my rent was paid, you know what I'm saying? After everything else, right, after everything else was in order, then I had fun, you know? And so I think having a child really taught me how to sacrifice. Because there's a bigger purpose here. It's not all about me, you know? It's not all about me. And so now I know how to be selfless.
Yeah.
And so
what I heard, to sum that up, is people might make excuses about where they come from, how they were raised, you know, personal things. And to me, you have been able to overcome so much and be successful in spite of anything that was negative. So you are very similar, you know, in my view, when I talk about, I'm just me. I can't speak for anybody else, because other people may be like me too. I love accolades. I don't know. Accolades, just give me a prize, give me a present, give me, but it's not, I realize this probably even over this last year, it's not necessarily the accolade. It is, I did something, and yeah, somebody paid attention to it, but you wouldn't have a paid attention to it if I didn't take the time and the effort to put into doing that thing. So I think, to me, that's probably why I like accolades, but I also know what sacrifices it took to get that accolade. And what I've noticed is, when I'm not trying to get the accolade, is when you get the accolade. Like, when you're just in your purpose and doing what you do, you do not even realize how many people are paying attention to you and watching you. And I've been able to see, like, you know, the stuff that you post, the way that you change your social media and things. And for everybody who doesn't know, so Tiffany came to a bunch of the classes that I taught, right? And I've just been able to see the growth from those things. And anybody that knows me knows that, for me, one of the highest accolades is when I see somebody doing the things and then getting the rewards that they deserve for what they are doing, because you took the time to put the effort in. So it's like, when you win, and I'd be like, yes, go get it. And I didn't know about these 6 vans though, but I'm really excited about that. So it's like, I see it and it just makes me so happy. So the accolade is not like, oh, Chisa, you did such and such. The accolade is like, did you see what Tiffany did? Oh my goodness. You know, or like when people notice your social media. I live for that. Like, it, you know, because it fills my whole little heart up, right?
Because I learned from the best. No, I was kidding. No, but that's real though. Like, you saw, you know, I was in class, like, every time you had one, you know, Instagram, I was there, Facebook, I was there, you know what I'm saying? I put that time in, I put the effort in. And while I was sitting in class, I was sitting there doing the work. Like, while you were talking, I didn't even wait to get home and go over my notes. I was there like, okay, so what we doing? Oh, we doing a Like-a-Palooza. Girl. Okay, let me get my Like-a-Palooza on, you know? So it's like, you know, a lot of times what happens too is we sit on information, right? We get analysis paralysis. And so it's like, if you just take what you take whatever you learn, go ahead and take it in and just put it into action, and then just figure out the rest later. Because if you wait until things are perfect, you're never going to start. Never going to start. Like, I don't know if you remember, I don't even know if you've seen my very, very, very first website. When I first made it, I was like, oh, this is so great. This is awesome. And
I don't remember that one, but I know what the new one looks like. I remember when you changed the new one, and it's got the nice, like, money green kind of color. But I don't remember the first one.
Yeah, and I'm glad, because when I look back now, and you know, it also takes getting constructive criticism and not getting offended, but acting on it. And so what happened was, you know, I had my first website. It was my little baby. I was like, oh, this is so perfect. It's so awesome. I took it to the guys over at Score. They said, this is horrible. And I was just like, But then they started breaking down why. And then I was like, okay, I see what you're saying. So as soon as I left that meeting, guess what? I went home, made the tweaks, and then it became better and better and better and better over time. And so that's why I tell people, like, you know, for a long time, like with my podcast, I didn't start my podcast for a long time because I was in this analysis paralysis state, right? Because I was like, oh, I got to make sure I have the best mic. I have to have the best headset. I have to have this and I have to have that. And then I was like, you know what, Tiffany? Just do it. And so I went and bought a $20 mic from Amazon and these little $10, $20 headsets or whatever. And I started the podcast. And then the podcast is getting awards and all types of stuff with sucky equipment. And it didn't matter. And so,
you know what? Pause right there. What she just told y'all was she went and got what I like to call the MVP, the minimal viable product to start. Now, you can go up. You can always upgrade. You can always get better equipment. But she went and at least got the minimum to start. and then was able to grow from there and still won awards with, what she's considering less than. But, I did a podcast episode last month and I didn't have my regular person because, I use Robert, right? And it was just timing. It just wasn't working out. So I went ahead and and I already had what they consider the best mic, the Blue Yeti, all of that. I had already had that even before I opened the studio, before I met him, everything, right? And the one thing is, I was like, oh my God, listening to it, because I'm so used to a certain sound. So I'm like, you could hear. So basically, hold on, let me show y'all. Let me just show y'all. Because it'd be easier for me to do that than to try to explain it, right?
Right.
So what happened was, this is a lesson. Now y'all got me teaching. So this is the mic, right? Now, it comes like this. It doesn't come with a filter or anything on it. So I didn't have a filter or anything on it because, I was not using it like I used to. So I could hear all of the, the sounds you make in your voice.
Yeah.
Why was everybody like, oh my God, that episode was so good. I loved it. I got my line. You snatched my edges. And I was like, but I'm like, I hated the sound. So when I listened to it back, I was like, no, I got to go ahead and buy my little filter, put this on here. And then everything has come out crystal clear since then. But it is amazing how critical we can be of ourselves with these businesses. And I'm not even just talking about we could do it on our personal lives, but you started. You put something out there and then it grew and grew and grew. And you've been able to do speaking engagements, go to conferences, do all kinds of stuff because you started them.
Exactly. And see, here's the thing. And the thing is, you have to be strategic, right? So it's crazy because I solely started my podcast because I was going to a financial influence.
The FinCon, right?
Yeah, I was going to FinCon.
Yeah, girl, I seen it. I be paying attention, girl. I know where you was at.
No, I was kidding. So I went to FinCon, right? And so a month before FinCon, I said, okay, I need to go ahead and start this. This is my deadline because I know when I go to FinCon, I'm going to be rubbing elbows with people that already have established stuff and things like that. It's a perfect opportunity to get guests, all of that stuff. All of that stuff was running through my mind. So I was like, I have to start. It was a month before FinCon. And so I had maybe 4 episodes by the time FinCon came out. But guess what? When I was at FinCon, I said, oh, yeah, I'm a podcaster. And I da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And see, it gave people stuff to listen to. I had stuff already there so people can listen to it, get a feel for it, whatever. And so that's why, you have to kind of think strategically through things, right? Because if I didn't start the podcast right then and there, it probably wouldn't have took off like it did. Because I used that as a catalyst for it to take off. That was my way of advertising. Everywhere I went, I was I had they have these little buttons, if you're a blogger, podcaster, whatever. I had the podcaster, I had the blogger, I had the YouTuber, all these things, just so people can ask me questions oh, you're a blogger. Oh, what's your channel? What's your podcast? That type of thing. And so that was my marketing opportunity to kind of take my podcast to the next level. And the crazy part about it is when I started the podcast, I thought it was just going to be monologues. I thought it was just going to be me talking out blog articles pretty much. And it's became mostly interviews because after people started hearing the first 3 or so episodes, because the first 3 was all monologue, I was just trying to get it out there. After they heard those, then they were like, can I be a guest? Do you accept guests? And now I can't even get a solo episode no more. It's so many people.
You could get a solo episode if you wanted to, but do you think, do you think that it's easier to interview somebody than it is to just talk to yourself? I mean, does it now, because you've done it for so long, what is easier for you?
You are asking this of a talker, so I don't care.
I know.
I don't care if I'm talking to myself. I don't care. I don't care if I'm talking to somebody. I'm gonna talk. I will say though, I enjoy the interviews because I get to hear other people and other people's stories, other people's experiences, other people's things. I just had an episode on moving to Canada or getting getting a second passport in Canada,
Uh-huh.
right? And so this is something that I would have never thought about. I would have never
Mm.
thought about. But he came on a podcast and he was explaining, like, you know, his story. He was a Canadian and he helps people get their second passports from all over the world.
Mm.
And he was like, you know, explaining the process, how it's so easy and all the benefits of being a Canadian citizen and all this stuff. And I was like, I think I
Yeah,
want
well, I need that, honey, because I need to go ahead. This country right here, this is the ghetto.
we in the ghetto. No, but you know,
U.S.
it's
is the ghetto.
a lot of the stuff, like if you listen to the episode, a lot of the misconceptions that we have as Americans about Canadians and, you know, the government, everything like that,
Mm-hmm.
he like blew it out the water. And
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have gotten that perspective if I didn't interview him, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I like
Mm-hmm.
having the interviews, because
Mm-hmm.
it allows us to step into somebody else's life. Like, you know, people like listening to me, but I would rather it not just be me, and we learn from other people as well, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it has been a life-changing experience. I've met so many different people. I've had people from different countries on and all types of stuff. It's just been a very valuable learning experience.
I got so many things I need to ask you off of this call. I mean, well, what is this podcast? I got so many things. It's just because you have just given me so much that I'm thinking about, and I'm just like, I need to talk to Tiff about that offline. But add in one more thing, because you also teach as an adjunct at UNCG. So first of all, did y'all hear all of the stuff that I said? She already had her business. She got the podcast. She got the husband, the kids, the Catman Express. And then she also teaches over at UNCG adjunct. So you should be going back to school next week, or?
A couple weeks. So,
oh, okay, yeah, a couple weeks.
Yeah, in a couple weeks. But I'm so excited, like being a professor. So when I was in my undergraduate program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is funny. When I was in my undergraduate, my retirement plan was to be a college professor. That was my retirement plan. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah, I wanted to be an online college professor so I could be on a beach somewhere, shaking my glass, telling them that they need to make sure that they upload their work by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. Like, that's what I wanted as a retirement plan after I finished my whole corporate career and everything like that. But then, and this is all going back to the experiences piece, right? And having mentors and having people to open your mind to different things. I had a professor at UNCG when I was in my graduate program, in the master's program. And he said, Tiffany, have you ever heard of the PhD project? I was like, no, what's that? Lo and behold, it's a whole conference for minority individuals who are thinking about getting their PhD and being college professors, because they see the value of having, you know, diversity in front of the classroom, not just in the classroom, but in front of the classroom. And so I went to that conference and I was just like, this is what I want to do. Why wait until I retire? Why is that my retirement? Why not just do it now? You know? Yeah. And so that's how I started on this trajectory that I'm on. And so it's like, it takes other people's stories and mentorships and things like that to kind of get you to, because if you have no idea, you have no idea. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know. Yes. Trust me. I know. It's things that if you could talk to your younger self and you told your younger self, you're going to be okay. This is coming. But it's like, you wish you would have known so much, like Back to the Future, and you would have been a gazillionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you could do Back to the Future in real life, you would be Jeff Bezos. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no doubt that if we knew certain things, that we would have done them differently. Do you think that, let's just say counterparts, because yesterday was, you know, Black Women's Equal Pay Day, right? Just start some stuff just to be starting some stuff. Like, you're talking about starting things with intention and having a purpose. I feel like some of our counterparts just be like, I'm just going to start some stuff. Let's just see how it works out.
No. And see, that's the thing. Like, if you do something like that, make sure it's something you're passionate about. Like, I tell people all the time, I don't chase money. Like, money talk with Tiff, you know, I make decent, but it's not something that, you know, I can just live off of, retire on, you know what I'm saying? But I'm passionate about it. And see, me being passionate about it, I told my husband, I said, as long as it can fund itself, like keep itself running, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to make a profit on this because
Mm-hmm.
that's not what I'm doing it for. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, the thing is, people like to jump into things if they're going to make a quick buck, if they think they're going to make a quick buck. And that's how you set yourself up for failure. Even if you're not a business owner and you're in working a job, corporate America, warehouse, wherever, a lot of people follow the money and then they end up miserable. And so I have the thought process of, I'm not going to do anything unless it's enjoyable for me. And so even if like, oh, and going back, because I don't think I ever answered your other question. How did we come up with the transportation business, right?
Oh, yeah.
We just went around the world, never even answered that.
It's okay. We drove back to it. Ha ha.
Snap back. No. But my husband, it was his vision, right? He always wanted to have, you know, use the vans and stuff like that to do this type of thing. I never had this vision, but I found enjoyment in putting it all together. So my thing was filing for the LLC, like making sure all the structures, the technology, the processes. We just hired our first person this week. And so I've been training and getting those processes down and everything too. And so that's where I have fun. And so it doesn't, the business idea, right? It was his, right? It was his business idea. But the process I owned and I loved it. You know, the sales part he owned and he loves it. You know? And so that goes back to make sure, like, even if it's not your significant other or whatever, if you do go into business with somebody, make sure that you all complement each other. Because that's the important part.
It is. Now, if a person is saying, I want to get on your show, because are you taking any more interviews right now?
Of course.
I figured you were, but I just said, let me just ask. So if they want to get on your show, what's the process that they need to do for that?
Yeah, so all they have to do literally is reach out to me, whether it's a DM, an email, text, whatever you want to do, and I will shoot you over the link to schedule a time, and we will hop on the mic. You don't have to have a business, you don't have to have experience in anything. I just like talking to people with real life stories. Like I've had guests just talk about divorce and the divorce process when it comes to money, you know. And so it could be anything, and don't worry, I don't care if you've never been interviewed before. I'm the same way all the time. I'm silly, like Chisa said, and we're going to have fun regardless. And so all you have to do is bring your story and come on through. Come on in the room.
Come on in the room. I love it. I love it. I love it. So tell them where they can find you online.
Yes. So you can find me. My website is www.moneytalkwitht.com, or you can Google Money Talk with Tiff. Money Talk TIFF podcast. You can find it anywhere you listen to your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, it doesn't matter. It's there. And then on social media, but on social media it's at Money Talk with T. And that's everywhere. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Wherever you think you can find me, you're going to find me. So
I love that.
Definitely just reach out, and I'm the most probably down to earth person you will probably ever meet. I answer pretty much everybody. And so definitely reach out and we can talk.
Yes. And just one other point, she has a group on Facebook as well. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in some coaching, she can help you with coaching. So just a wealth of information. You want to get your money together. You want somebody you can trust, because I don't bring on those. And I'm not saying anything negative, because, you know, I try to watch how I say things, because people get offended real easy. But the New Yorker in me is just blunt. I don't know any other way to say it. But is she not a scammer? How about we put it out there like that? She's not a scammer. So when she's helping you with things, you know, she even has an investment club. Get the help that you need so that you can succeed. Like, that's what this whole thing with Give It to the People is about. And so I want to end on this, first of all, saying thank you so much for being on. And then second of all, I want to tell everybody to make sure that they know about the Give It to the People Small Biz Summit. It's going to be on January 7th. Tiffany can tell you, I don't play games, honey. I will put a summit on for you. Okay.
And it is
You
fun.
You will learn some stuff. You will have a good time. And this one is a little bit different though, because what we're doing is this is now the new business, the collaboration with my husband and I. And so we're focusing on mental wealth, right? Which is going to be things that affect you personally, professionally, spiritually, physically. And it's also going to make sure that it helps you financially, right? Because we want all of those areas to be aligned with you. The Facebook group, they wanted to know, that is also Money Talk with T?
No, that one is called Let's Talk Money Group. I just typed it in.
Oh, she just typed it in. So that's the Let's Talk Money group. So if you're looking for that on Facebook, then you can find it. But if they go to like the website and stuff like that, they can also get to it there, right? Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, on the website, it has the link to all social media. And so you could just follow the breadcrumbs. You'll find it.
Yes, yes, yes. So with what I like to do is always shine a light on positive people who are doing great things. And that is one of the things that we're going to do, because we've realized that there is, and you touched on it, this is why I said I got to talk to her offline, depression, anxiety, all of the things that are life that you might not even realize you have affect how your business happens. And so this is one of the reasons that I could say that we really want to have more of a focus on that going forward, because I can teach you hard skills all day, but it's the soft skills and the things and the resources and being able to be around people who are transparent and who don't mind sharing their story that make a difference in how you can reflect in your business. And so just like Tiffany talked about, being able to have mentors, being able to have somebody to tell you this is the next thing, or this is the resource, or this is the whatever you need, like that to me is an important thing. And when I look at what's been happening at the landscape of business, that's what's missing. So being able to provide that and be a resource for that, that is what you will get when you come to the Give It to the People Small Biz Summit, January 7th. Go ahead and get y'all vaccinations, because I finally he made me get the shot. I went and got the shot, right? So nobody is trying to be out here messing with the Delta variant and the COVID friends and none of that. Go ahead, get your shot, get vaccinated, and then just come out and let's have healthy lives and healthy businesses. And, you know, I want that for everybody. So I appreciate everybody for watching. If you're watching on the replay, then share it with somebody. We're going to share it on our Instagram stories. Once this is over, it'll also be on YouTube, and then we'll be putting it up on the Give It to the People podcast as well. So Tiffany, thank you so much for being out here this evening. And you got all kinds of quotables in here, girls. I just need to chop this up and just drop all the quotables that you put out tonight, because you gave all the life, just FYI.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So thank you guys for being out. Make sure that you always show up and show out and continue to give it to the people. Bye, guys.
Bye.